Was Mandrill Mayhem the best choice of new coaster for Chessington World of Adventures to add for the 2023 season? Mandrill Mayhem is the brand new for 2023 B&M wing coaster here in the UK at Chessington World of Adventures. This is a very unique new roller coaster, but could there have been a better option of new coaster for Chessington to add to the park? Stick around to find out. Welcome to Coasternaut, and if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe for future updates and news on Chessington World of Adventures and their new roller coasters and rides for the future, and there will be plenty more videos about the park and their rides on the channel in the future. So then, Mandrill Mayhem is the first new coaster added to Chessington World of Adventures since 2004 when they added the Maurer custom family spinning coaster Dragon's Fury. So between new coaster additions at this family UK theme park, there was a massive span of 19 years. Now, if there is ever a park that was overdue a new coaster, it was Chessington World of Adventures. So that is such a long time for any park to go without a new coaster addition, especially a well-themed park such as Chessington that gets so busy during their peak months. If anyone's been to Chessington during the summer, you will know that you'll be waiting hours for most of their rides. A lot of their thrill rides will sit consistently around the 2-hour mark, hour and a half mark. So to go 19 years without a new coaster, it's actually a shame. You know, a park as good as Chessington should have had a new coaster much sooner than this. But with so much time between new coasters, when the park decided it was finally time to get a new roller coaster, they had to make sure that they did everything in their possibilities to get the best possible option for guests and thrill seekers to enjoy, because guests will be craving a new coaster at this point after so long. And also, from a more business standpoint, the better the return on investment is for this coaster and for the park is, probably will determine how long we have to wait for another new coaster addition to come to Chessington in the future. For example, if Mandrill Mayhem isn't a success for Chessington, it may be another very long period of time before we see another new roller coaster added to the park. Whereas if it is a great success for the park and draws in a lot of new guests and increases the attendance at the park, it may not be too long before we have to wait to see another new coaster come into this fantastic family park here in the UK. So then, let's dive into what coaster Mandrill Mayhem is, and if there was a better possible choice for Chessington World of Adventures to add as their new coaster for the 2023 season. Mandrill Mayhem is the brand new for 2023 B&M Shuttle multi-launched wing coaster. Now, that is a lot of words to describe a coaster, but what that does mean is that Mandrill Mayhem is a very unique coaster addition. There is multiple launches on this coaster. You go launch backwards out of the station, then you launch forward again through the station, forward again before you get to the Jaguar statue, and then backwards again after you come back through the Jaguar statue. So that's 4 launches that you'll get to experience on this coaster. There is one inversion, which is a 0G roll that goes over the entrance portal to this World of Jumanji themed area. However, technically it is 2 inversions on this coaster, because you do experience the inversion forwards and backwards, because as I've said, this is a shuttle coaster, which means it's not a complete layout. For anyone that doesn't know, the track obviously has 2 spikes and you go forwards and backwards through the layout, and you don't actually complete a full circuit. So B&M has been trying some very different and unique coasters over the past few years, clearly trying to expand their ride lineup after seeing the rise of some other manufacturers such as RMC and Intamin trying some very new and unique coasters. So an example of one of these brand new B&M unique coasters would be the return of their stand-up format in the Surf Coaster, which was Pipeline the Surf Coaster over at SeaWorld Orlando. And Mandrill Mayhem is just another example of B&M trying something completely different. So firstly, I do actually have to commend Chessington World of Adventures for adding a very unique coaster to the park. This isn't just unique to the UK, but it is unique to the world. You will not find any other coaster out there like this. And I think when we first heard about B&M Chessington World of Adventures adding a B&M wing coaster to the park, I think, there were some fans that were definitely worried because, Thorpe Park isn't too far from Chessington. They also have a B&M wing coaster, the Swarm, but this is definitely very different from the Swarm. This is more of a family thrill coaster. The Swarm is a more thrilling coaster, and this is obviously, like I say, a launched rather than a lift hill, and is also shuttle, so you do not need to compare this to the Swarm. It's very different. It definitely stands out, and for that reason, like I say, I do actually have to commend Chessington for adding a very unique coaster. Mandrill Mayhem was added to the park alongside a whole brand new themed area of the park called World of Jumanji, which is obviously themed to the Jumanji movie franchise. The main centerpiece of this land is the giant Jaguar statue that was built in the center of the area. Mandrill Mayhem wraps around this statue and acts as the end of the shuttle coaster portion of the track, so the coaster can return backwards throughout the layout to the station, and it does provide a fantastic photo opportunity and a fantastic centerpiece of this area. It truly does look fantastic, as you can see in the footage here, the wing coaster wrapping around that giant Jaguar statue, being held right at the top before returning backwards down through the track. I think Chessington clearly wanted a coaster that focused around this centerpiece statue, so it would be a great photo opportunity, would get a lot of traction online, and it would also be very eye-catching and attractive to a lot of guests. Most guests, I imagine, especially from the GP, haven't really seen a wing coaster before, and so seeing the wing seat on a coaster is going to be very eye-catching and unique to a lot of guests. This also might be the first coaster in the park that has an inversion. No other coaster in the park has an inversion at Chessington, so this will be likely the first coaster that many guests actually get to experience with an inversion, as Chessington is a family thrill park, so this is likely the first time a lot of guests will experience an inversion, and it's also likely that this will be the first coaster where it gets to experience a launch coaster, because there is also no launch coaster at Chessington. So I do think in that sense it's a great addition to the park, in the sense that it does add a launch and it adds an inversion, because that is two gaps that was needed in the park's lineup. So I can see why they went with a coaster like this, and all in all I do think Mandrill Mayhem is a very cool and unique coaster, and I can see why the park went for a coaster like that. However, I do think there was better options out there. This being a B&M coaster also means it was likely a very expensive addition to the park. I think another coaster manufacturer could have produced Chessington another family thrill coaster that's eye-catching, potentially with a launch, potentially with an inversion, with potential for good theming, but at a much better return on investment, and is likely to be a lot cheaper. So if the park wasn't bothered about something too unique, because there are coasters out there like this, as you can see on the screen in a minute, I would actually go for something like Javelin at Jer Summerland, which is a Intamin family thrill launch coaster. This has many whippy twists and turns, some good entry-level airtime, and also focuses on some good jungle theming and Aztec theming, so that shows it can be themed in a similar way to something like World of Jumanji and Mandrill Mayhem. And if it was down to me, that's the kind of coaster I would personally go for. If the park did want something inversion based, or at least with one inversion, something, admittedly I do think it's a bit more intense, a bit more of a step up from Mandrill Mayhem or Javelin, but something like you can see on screen now, Formula at Energylandia in Poland could have been a great addition here, could have provided a great launch, not too intense, some smooth and whippy inversions and airtime, some twists and turns, and in my opinion these new Vekoma trains are also far more comfortable than the B&M wing trains that have those vest restraints. In my opinion, the best option for the park would have been something like Javelin and Intamin family launch coaster, but a Vekoma family launch coaster could have also worked well here. But if the park did want one of these unique new B&M family wing coasters, something like Maximus, as you can see now, that was the other new family wing coaster that was added in 2023 to a theme park that was Legoland Germany. This features a more complete layout than in my opinion than Mandrill Mayhem. It has two inversions, and also the lift hill on this ride probably could have been swapped out for a launch, so you know this ride could have still had a launch, and you know therefore they could have still gone down that route. But in my opinion this offers a more well-rounded layout than Mandrill Mayhem. And Chessington, as I said before, is a very busy park in summer, so to go with a shuttle coaster is braver than I can see. You know, at the minute we're still on the virtual queue, but queues even on the virtual queue have been very long so far since the ride opened, and when the ride does open to guests on a normal, without the virtual queue, just queue up in the queue, and I can see this having a very long queue, 2 or 3 hours in peak season, especially with Fastlane being in there. So, you know, having something full circuit, potentially like Maximus, in my opinion, would have been a better option. What do you make of this topic? I'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback on the comment section down below. Is Mandrill Mayhem, the new for 2023 B&M wing coaster at Chessington World of Adventures, the best choice the park should have gone with? Should they have gone with a more well-rounded B&M wing coaster like Maximus, or should they have gone for something like Javelin or Formula, a more family thrill launch coaster from Vekoma or Intamin, or should they have gone with something completely different? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like, it really helps out the channel. Subscribe to the channel for more videos and updates in the future, and I'll see you in the next one.